Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with another update on the cars here. You guys can see a lot of it has been done since the last update. We got wheels, we got all the side covers on, the roofs are on, and we're making really good progress. Something that I've already started to do is kind of mess around with some of these rust stickers for the Afterlife version, and you guys can see I kind of took one and put it along the bottom of the license plate to kind of give the license plate kind of a rusty vibe. I like it. Looks pretty cool. Nice little contrast between the Afterlife and Frozen Empire. So you guys can kind of see how that's going to work. So I do have hope for these stickers. I just have to put them in good spots along with some of my color fading that I've been working on. But yeah, guys, the cars are looking really sharp. Go over, move one of these out of the way. Just kind of go over a couple things here. So, the mock, Linz's mock that I'm kind of using as the base of these projects, has the ladder going in the original spot, just like on the original version that I have sitting right here. You guys can kind of see how that's working. And then the tubes are there. So I basically just built the parts reversed, so that way that gave me on the other side here the position to mount the ladder on this side, and also and you guys will see it, not yet, but I got the racks built for these cars. You guys are gonna love them. I love them. A lot of work. But we have it to where the ladder's on this side now. I even set up the rack to where the ladder can mount. You guys can see all the fenders and everything are done on this side as well. We have all of our mounts in for the lights, the rack, light bars. So these cars are getting really close to being done. One thing I'm going to talk about really quick here is had a viewer inquire about my step on the license plate area. Now, you guys will remember this on the original version here. I wanted to give it that step, and of course these two versions are the kind of off of the original version. You guys will remember my Ghostbusters 2 Ecto-1A version has that utility bumper, that kind of really big step that pretty much took out this whole area and just made a huge step out of it. These still have the original bumpers with the original step into the back, and I'll see if I can kind of pull that off. So I basically start with just how the mock had it, per the bumper build there, and then this is kind of the system I devised for making the step. I went through a couple renditions of this before I kind of got the right height. Some of them hung down a little low, and I just had to get this, I'm not sure what these pieces are really called. It's a tile with a wall, basically this right here, only in gray. So those are easy to find. And then I just used a couple modified plates. You guys can see I'm actually using, I'll show you here. I'm using 4 of these modified plates right here. And you guys can see it's basically all built right off the plate itself. We have a 1x4 plate, 2 of those modified plates basically facing down, and then 2 more of those modified plates kind of hanging off of the bottoms of those. So let's see, that's not the right one. I need a Another one of these. Let me point the camera where I'm working here. Basically how I did that, if I can, did I use that one or did I use tops? I used top-ups, okay. Forgive me. So these right here are the two modified plates that I'm using. And myself, I just kind of came up with names for these. This is a top down and a bottom up. So if you think about it, you know, you got your top and then it hangs down. And then you got your bottom and it comes up. So top down, bottom up. And let's see. So literally, just take them like that. And boom. Two of those. And that allows you to hook that tile, that wall tile on there. So that becomes our step. And then what's really nice is at the bottom here we have studs, which we can put a 1x4 tile on and kind of clean up that so we don't just have studs there. Now, yeah, you're not really going to be able to see that too much, but I like to clean things up as much as possible, eliminate as much studs as possible on these cars. So yeah, super simple. Like I said, I went through a couple of renditions to try to get the right height and the right look, and I was pretty happy with how this came out. And that just goes right into place there. Now if you're building these cars from Linz's Mock, these plates are actually set up, the backings are built for a 2x3 tile and not a 2x4. I stuck with the 2x4 tiles just because it was a little bit easier. And I'm not trying to minimize the size of the plate at all, so you guys can see it works really well. It looks good. It's a nice step in there, so that's kind of how I did that. So like I said, I had a viewer inquire about that, so I figured I'd just kind of touch on that quick. We still have to build the back doors, of course, and but yeah, I think it's get these cars moved around here, and I'll show you guys the real cool stuff. You guys are gonna like what I have in store here for some of these, the lights and stuff. Now, I think before I go and put all the lights and everything on the Afterlife version here, I'm gonna go and put all the rust stickers on, just because I have full accessibility to the roof. I'm trying to move this over. Sorry guys, I know I'm not showing a whole lot right now because all the fun stuff is like over here. So but yeah, so I'm basically ready to start figuring out where to put the stickers on this car. I know there's going to be a few on the roof, so I kind of want to leave all that open and accessible for me and kind of go from there. So that's going to take me a little while. That's probably going to be like a few hours of just looking at pictures. I'm not gonna work off of Lego's instructions on where to put the stickers. I'm actually gonna look at pictures of the real car and kind of see where the rustier spots were, and then kind of put my stickers in via that way. So now, and I don't know if I don't have control over what YouTube wants to use for the thumbnail, so you guys might see the cool stuff ahead of time in the thumbnail. But here are the light bars and spotlights. Now, I'm sure you guys can tell what's for what. Like I said, I am playing with color fading to help the weathered look on the Afterlife version. Excuse me. So here on this side we have the nice dark blue light bars and spotlights for the Frozen Empire version. And then over here I went with a light blue, the lighter blue tiles and such for the light bar and the spotlights for the Afterlife version. And I've had some of this mocked up on the car already, and I tell you what, it looks really, really cool. Of course, the Frozen Empire version is going to be a refreshed version, so basically, this in a new capacity, so you guys can kind of see, the dark blue on there kind of blending in, or not blending in, but stands out, looks nice and clean, nice and sharp. But I really had some fun doing faded lights, because you guys can see, I mean, it basically takes these new looking light bars and lights and makes them look like they have many years of sun fade on them, and that's really cool. Of course, the actual car in the movie wasn't quite that bad. More dust on like dark blue than it was actual fade. But I wanted to really play with the fade colors, and you guys will see more of that kind of bleed through on a couple other things on the rack and all that equipment. So that to me is a really cool option for making the car look, kind of giving other points on it, making them look visually older. And I think that's going to look really cool. They looked awesome on the car. Having the light bars on both cars and seeing the light blue on this one and dark blue on this one, that looked really cool. I loved how that looked. So all together, it's going to look super awesome. Really excited to get all this stuff on the car permanently. Another thing we went and did was I put, and I talked about this in the last video, I put a 1x2 plate in where the handle originally was, since on the Afterlife version this was basically like a primer patch where the door handle had been removed and kind of filled in and just primered over, and nothing else really happened in that area. So now we kind of have that as a visual cue of what the car used to be. And then of course we don't have that on the nice, clean, shined up, repainted version for the Frozen Empire. One thing I've noticed with having the roofs on now is my doors are a little tight. To get open, not bad. It's not pulling any parts off. But one nice thing about that is it really holds the door closed. But they open just fine. A little bit of lift, a little bit of wiggle. Door opens just fine. The swing open. It's not going to be able to swing open quite that far because there's going to be that pipe that fits down in that hook right there. But if I allow for distance, that's about how far the door opens on the real one. So I'm really happy with the with that. And we can even kind of get a neat view with the seat out. That just looks really, really cool. That's my first time pulling out the gunner seat on since I've gotten everything kind of buttoned up on the car, so that's really neat to do that. Something else that I need to do on both of these versions is I need to add some white bricking in underneath here. Not too sure exactly what I'm going to use yet, but if you guys kind of notice, the frame has been cut and re-supported a little bit lower in this area. That's probably going to be the last thing I do, because right now I have these cars sitting on these containers just to kind of help spin them around and move them around. And once I put that on, it's going to kind of leave a little drop down here that is going to interrupt it sitting nice and level. So that'll be a modification that I do probably before I get all the top stuff on. Just that way I can handle the cars a little bit easier. But both these cars are going to get that little frame modification, little visual cue right there of where the frame was cut down to help support the chair and all that. So, like I said, I'm trying to get really detailed on these, and so I'm really looking at photos. I'm really taking the time, picking things apart, and making changes where necessary. Like I said, the general mock from Lynn's is amazing, but me personally, there are a lot of things that I have been changing and improving the look of, losing some things, gaining some others, so it's kind of a give and take. But yeah, guys, so next, you guys are going to see the racks, and I'm really, really excited about the racks. The light bars are pretty cool, but the racks have been a ton of work, and I can already say some of the stuff that I've done on the Afterlife rack. I'm actually going to go back and redo this whole rack and actually get it better detailed and things positioned more as they should. I have a ton of pictures of the real rack and able to kind of pick apart a few things that just the standard mock build didn't quite hit. And like I said, I'm really picky. I'm super picky about detail, and if I can do it, I want to do it. So I'll slide these into place and we will check out the racks. And there they are, guys. The racks. Super cool. I've done a ton of work to these. They've gone through a couple different renditions, a couple times where I thought they were done, and then I kind of looked back at photos and I wasn't quite happy with certain things, so I did some changes and a lot of modifications, a lot of change that. Okay, it looks okay for a day, come back the next day, okay, I'm not happy with it. So it's been just a ton of work on just these two racks right here. Now, first things first, of course, you guys can see some color differences, and then you know, the big difference is the drone dome. But we'll kind of talk about that in a minute. One thing I've been messing with, like I said, is color fading to kind of help the overall weathering process. And you guys can see the long tank on the passenger side of the rack. On the Afterlife version, I opted to do this in light gray. Just kind of going off of pictures of the Afterlife one. This tank was pretty faded. And I kind of wanted to fade that. Now, of course, I can't get like a perfect mix of green and gray, or, you know, green and tan. I can't do that with Lego because it's solid color to solid color. So when I do fading, it's either the whole part or, you know, pieces of the sections of the part, whatever. But I really like how that looks. That kind of gives it that, you know, all the green paint has faded away and you're kind of left with this dingy gray. Same thing with this little unit on top. I opted to swap a couple parts out with gray, and then we have it shiny black on the Frozen Empire version. Another thing that I changed from the mock is these cabinets right here with the wires in them. The mock originally had you using these claws, and you guys can actually see how those are put into use right there. And I was okay with those for a while, but I kind of wanted the wires. I wanted to see the wires, so I ended up using whips and sticking those in those holes, kind of staggering them, and that really gave me that nice wire look. And if you guys look at the pictures of these cars, these wires are fairly long. They droop, they hang over the tanks. So the whips were a fantastic substitution for those claw pieces. You really get a nice, looks like wires now and not just these little tiny claws touching each other. Of course, the sniffer on this version, I decided to stick a few gray tubes, tubes on there. I didn't want to do the whole things in gray because, like I said, those still had some red to them, so I kind of opted for like just some random fading. Did two on this one, one in the middle on that one, just to kind of give it that random weathering look. Really happy with that, how that came out. Another thing I decided to change that Lego and the mock kind of kept was the visual gauges on these tanks. And you guys can see right there that they just kind of have a visual gauge. Well, if you look at pictures of the actual thing, these actual tanks, These are not gauges. They're actually like a control valve for the tank. They do not have gauges on them at all. They're a black part. And so what I opted to do was use 1x1 circular tiles. And you guys can also kind of see some weathering here. Kind of grade these up a little bit. Got these back to shiny black. And then I also used, it's kind of hard to see, I'll see if I can face it in the light a little bit more. I kind of used braided line. I have a bunch of that short braided line, if you guys remember from the, cat hairs. If you guys remember from the packs that I did on these guys, I redid all that. And even on these gunner seats, there were originally whips used for that, and I ended up using that braided wire that I can like tuck into places, and it's a way cleaner look, and it fits better. Everything fits in the car better. Everything works just better with a bunch of these little guys here. These are like I think these are the smallest length you can get from Lego. And I used 2 of those and kind of staggered their position. And you guys can kind of see how that came out. I wrapped them around a little bit, and I think that adds some detail to it. I like how they look. If you guys look at pictures of the real ones, it's kind of like a mess of wires in that area, so I think that kind of looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be uniform and perfect. It just has to look like a mess of wires. So I ended up doing that on both. Another thing that we changed from the original mock is the sniffer base. You guys can see that just kind of plugs into a flat tile right there. These ones I extended all the way to the bottom of the rack. So you guys can see they kind of go down into the rack, which is how it actually is on the real car. So that was a modification that we did to make those a little bit more prototypical. Something I changed on the more original version of the rack is the this little half dish here. I ended up doing a hard mount in the back here, so this no longer spins. It's basically built as part of the rack, and this is pretty much the same thing that we did with the 1A version. Just because we have that tank and there's a lot going on there, the mock actually has you hard mount that. And you guys can see on the original version of the mock, we still have this big unit that sticks up and spins. Now the spinning function is nice, but in reality that part sits up way too high, and it's perfectly in the middle. It shouldn't be perfectly in the middle. So what I did on this version is I had set it off to the side by one spot where it used to sit. It used to come all the way to the end here, and now it sits over one brick and it's lower. And then basically just build the little receiver part of that on the rack, and it looks decent. Like I said, I kind of lose the playability out of it, but that's okay because I don't need that to spin. I just need it to look good, and I feel like that looks pretty good. It sits lower. It sits more where it should be sitting. Of course, the real one is literally just half of a dish. This is actually a full piece of a dome that we're using, so lowering it makes it look a lot better. This unit right here used to kind of sit more up and in the middle. I moved that back and over how it should have been. That's per the prototype, per the real car. And then this box here, on this particular version, on the more original version of the rack, that sits more in and not on the rack itself. The later version here, it's been moved way back and it sits out further. Of course, this unit on the original sits all the way forward. Now on the new one, this sits clear to the back because we had to make room for that dome. The dome, I was very fortunate. I had these kind of like nice clean dome pieces in white, and I kind of messed around with placing this. I kind of had to figure out a way to get it to basically float right in the middle of its space, and it's super easy to remove. You guys can kind of see how I did that. Working off of the base plates on this rack, I went one set of white plates, and then of course on top of that some vent details, and then some tiles, and then just a singular stud that I can pop right into the middle of this, and then I can just pop that right in the middle, and it looks awesome. That was kind of neat. I had this particular part in mind when I started this project, so that the dome itself was actually a super easy part of the project because I already had parts picked out for that. I knew how I wanted to do it. Hard part was just getting it positioned right, getting it sitting up high enough, and then just kind of figuring out stuff from there. Other changes that are on this rack now is we have like this little box here with a vent on it. We have this box over here now with some gadgets on the front, and luckily I was able to get this as close as I could to the prototype thanks to the recent release of the new trailers for the Frozen Empire movie. They actually they show a shot of the drone dome open and a drone lifting up, and in that like 2-second shot I paused it and I screenshotted it a couple times, and I was able to really see how everything was reworked and done, which I wasn't able to tell that before. All I had was side shots from the ground, so I really wasn't able to see like up in here. So I got really lucky that they showed that shot in the previews. So that's basically how I got this, and I got it as close as I possibly could per the prototype, per what you see in that clip. So I'm literally as close as I can be within the restrictions of Lego parts. So really happy with how that came out. It's super cool. As far as I know, I'm the first person to be building this car, just because it is, the movie's not even out, so I'm like trying really hard to get this car done before the movie comes out. So it's really cool to be able to have the opportunity and have all this ready to go, so that way we can get that done. But I love how this rack came out. You guys can see, like I said, we used the clean black parts on that. I did have to kind of figure out where to mount the rear antenna to on this rack. I think in the movie the car itself, the antenna just stands straight up, but those pieces don't really like to just stand on their own. They're kind of floppy. So I had to figure out somewhere new to mount that antenna, and this is actually a more prototypical place for the antenna mount per the older version. So we kind of got that figured out. Where the ladder is going to attach to I got lucky with this having this little area to click the tank into place there. I'm minus a whole stud there, so I was kind of worried on how all that was going to fit, plus the rack that holds this little dome here. All that kind of worked out on its own, no issues with that. And I love it. It looks super cool. And now we'll come over here. So this rack here is no different per how the original should be, other than just some colors and of course ladder placement. But you guys can see here, just don't pay attention to the color change, just pay attention to positioning of stuff, how things look. You guys can see this middle light here. I put that on a different pedestal. It shouldn't be on an, like just looking at photos, it really shouldn't be that big of a piece. So I went down to a 1x1 gray stud, and then instead of having it 2 clear studs with a clear tile on top, it's just 1 clear stud with a 1 clear tile. So I shortened it by 1 stud, or 1 plate, I mean. You guys can kind of see how the rack has that step in it in the front. It shouldn't have that. I ended up bringing the build of the rack all the way to the end of the base plate. So that's a change that all the changes I did on this one, except for the color, I'm going to rebuild this rack and implement those changes on that one. You guys can see the positioning of that little gray unit right there. This is more how it should be. This is how it was per the mock. This, I kind of have to figure something out for this because I have to move this back, and I might need to shorten this hose to do that, or I'm going to be sticking out too far on the bottom, so I might have to cut a little bit off of that. Let me tell you something, guys, I'm not big into like modifying and gluing Legos and doing stuff like that. Like, I typically stray away from that. I absolutely do no gluing. I am anti-glue. But sometimes you do have to cut certain things to fit. A hose piece like this is all right. I'm definitely not going to cut into a brick or cut a stud off of anything. That's not really my game that I play there. But a tube like this, I feel like these tubes are meant to be easily modified for mocks and stuff. So just cutting, in 1/4 of an inch off of that or something like that doesn't break my heart any. So that's probably something that we'll have to do, because this unit will sit back further and over. So that's going to put that in a whole different position. And then I am going to do the same thing for the little radar dish in the back there. We're going to build it a lot better. You guys can kind of see just how far out that sticks. It really shouldn't be up that high, and it shouldn't be sticking out that far. You guys look at this version. It's much cleaner. It's much tighter as it should be. It should be like right up against the rack. So building it as a non-movable point, like I said, yeah, you lose the playability, you lose the spinability of it, but it looks way more per the prototype. And then just some use of tiles and stuff like that to make that post, and not use the big bulky Technic part that's way too big. So and you guys can, of course, I still have the gauges on this one. We're going to take those gauges off. We're going to add the wires and do all that. We're going to change those to all black, nice shiny black, as they should be. And then I'm going to, of course, make the changes. Basically, aside from this unit right here, everything is being tore out and rebuilt, so that way I can have these low spots in there. And yeah, so once I get these 2 cars done, I'm actually going to go back on both the original version and the 1A, and I'm going to make some changes. As I was building these two, I made some little changes here and there for the better that I didn't do the first time around on these. So I'm actually going to take some time, go back through these cars completely, and whatever those little upgrades were, I'm going to go back and upgrade those on these versions. Like just something little, like you guys can see I have some studs showing right there. I didn't like that, so I got rid of those on both of these versions. So pretty, just little stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm super stoked about the racks. I love how the racks came out. They're, like I said, guys, I put a lot of time and effort into studying photos, trying to change stuff around, position stuff just right, and get it as close as I possibly could have, and I feel like I did pretty good. Is it 100%? No. Can you get it 100%? Not really. It's Lego. You're going to have certain restrictions. Some things, you just can't do. Some things aren't as thin as you want them to be or as tall as you want them to be. But you can get pretty darn close, and this is as close, in my opinion, this is as close as you can get these racks per the prototype, per the real car. So, just kind of working off of the basis of Lynn's mock and making my own upgrades that I wanted. And by no means am I bashing Lynn's mock. I love Lynn's mocks for these cars, but like I said, I'm really picky. I'm a super detailed guy. I do model railroading outside of this as well, so I'm really into detail. So I look at pictures and I need to make the changes. Slightly on the verge of OCD, but I just like detail. I like it to look good. I like it to be as detailed as possible. If this thing is in a certain position on the real car, I want to try to get that in a certain position on the Lego car. And I feel like I did pretty good on these, and I am really happy with these. Like I said, multiple renditions of this version. And just over the past couple nights, I was reworking this version, making this version better. Because after I started diving into this, and I'm like, hey, I can make the original rack look way better. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, between the racks, the lights, the cars are pretty close to being done, like basically done. The big building is done. I do still have to do the back doors yet. But like the big stuff is done, and now, like I said, I'm gonna take some time, and we're gonna, like I said, I have 4 sheets of these stickers. Not gonna use them all clearly because that would just look probably ridiculous. But I am gonna go through, kind of see what these rust pieces, where they're gonna fit the best, and I'm gonna, like always, work from photos of the real car and figure out, okay, do I need rust here or do I need it over here? Lego might have had it somewhere where it's not quite so rusty. So I am, you guys kind of saw that I kind of wanted to do some tan pieces inserted here and there, but like I said, it wasn't gonna look good. It was gonna look super piecey, really pieced together, and just not quite what I wanted. And you guys can see that. So like I had actually started to build parts of the fenders in tan, and yeah, it looks cool, but the car wasn't quite that sandy tan color. It was more of a faded white, which I have thought about setting the car out in the sun for a little bit and letting sunlight naturally fade the white, but the issue with that is it also makes the plastic brittle. Legos don't like being outside. They get brittle over time, and my fear is that if I let it sit in the sun for too long to try to age it properly, that it's going to wind up ruining the plastic, and the car's going to be falling apart and the piece is going to crack. And so we're just going to deal with the white. Like I said, I'm working with some of this color fade to try to help present the car as an older, dirty version, and hopefully with some cleverly placed stickers we'll be able to really pull the car together and it'll look decent. So like like with anything, is it going to look perfect? No. Is it going to look awesome? Hell yes. It's going to look amazing. These cars are going to be incredible, and we're super close to seeing all 4 of them together. So my plan is, I am going to, probably my next video in this series is going to be these 2 cars done. Fully assembled, done. We're going to show them off. We're going to go over everything again. We're going to do a recap on some of the big changes. We're going to check how things look, open doors, stuff like that. And then after I do the whole video on those two, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to go back through this car. I'm going to go back through that car. We're going to make the changes that I want to make. We're going to make the upgrades that I want to make. And then I'm going to clear off the table, and I'm going to set all four together, and we're going to do an awesome video and see all four together for the first time ever. So it's going to be super awesome. So I hope you guys are excited for that. We're like right at the finish line. We just have a few more things to do. I'm hoping with the remainder of today, probably stay up late tonight, work some more all day tomorrow. If my wife doesn't have anything planned all day tomorrow. So we're really close, guys. We're really close. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the journey. It has been quite the journey. It's been a ton of work. About as much work as I expected it to be. You know, this is not my first rodeo. Clearly I've been through these cars before, but these two, you know, no one really has a good mock for these two. So I'm basically, you know, taking a base mock and then throwing a bunch of more mock on top of that. So it's been a lot of work, guys. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying the journey. Hopefully some of my things are kind of helping you if you want to, even if you just want to do the original version. Not, you know, the original version's super OG. I mean, it is the first time we saw this car. The original mock that Linz came out with this is awesome. If you just want to build it how it was per the mock and, you know, have fun, I would strongly suggest that. But if you're like me and you thrive for the detail, you want to make it the best you can, follow along with my videos and ask me questions in the comments. Like I said, if I have a viewer say they want to see something, I will do my best to show them that. Apart from tearing apart the entire car, I really don't feel like tearing apart the entire car. That's why I tried to do some stuff as the car was being built and kind of show you guys that in video. I know I couldn't show every little piece that I put in, but hopefully some of my explanation and early on videos kind of help if you do want to do something like that. And you know, it's Lego. You can literally do whatever you want. I'm just doing it how I think is best. Somebody might have better ideas than me. My brain doesn't always work the greatest, and you know, sometimes it does. You know, sometimes I can come up with some pretty cool stuff, and sometimes I can't. So, you know, it's up to what kind of a person you are, how your brain works. So, but yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Sorry it's so long, but you know, we have some cool stuff going on here. You know, some stuff that no one's done before. So, as far as I know, as of right now, I am the first person to be building the Frozen Empire version in great detail like this. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Hopefully hopefully these videos kind of get you excited for the new movie. I am super excited for the new movie, especially after seeing the new trailers. They came out with the American one and then the international one. I watched both of them multiple times over, mostly because I need to see more stuff on this car, but also because I'm excited for the movie to come out. So, but that's enough of me talking, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys appreciate the time that I'm taking to kind of show you guys some of these things that I'm changing. I do apologize if my explaining of certain things isn't the greatest. I've been doing YouTube for a while. I have another channel that's been around for years now, and you know, it's still hard for me to kind of go back and watch my videos because I feel like I don't talk the best. But I do try my best in these videos, guys, to show you just all what I've done. So yeah, that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you were excited for the upcoming videos, and yeah, that's it. So until next time, take care.